Dune Awakening totally is an MMO if your definition of MMO includes survival crafting with 200 people and a lot of sand. Vindictus focuses on co-op instead of MMO and looks very promising. Palworld's still fighting Pikachu's lawyers, and one DLC out there decided to stop being broken. Co-op gaming never fails to keep things interesting. The large-scale beta weekend for Dune Awakening is live, and so is the debate over what kind of multiplayer game this actually is. Despite being labeled as an MMORPG, many players are calling that into question, saying it feels more like a survival game with multiplayer features than a full-blown MMO. The developers have responded by clarifying that Dune Awakening blends many genres. It does have hundreds of players in persistent worlds, but it's built on a survival crafting core, more like Conan Exiles than World of Warcraft. You will be sharing space with hundreds of other players in large-scale zones, forming guilds, trading in shared hubs, even fighting over spies in PvP zones. There are dungeons, dialogue trees, cutscenes, and faction progression. But what's missing is a quest structure or combat loop as you would expect from an MMORPG. Each world is made up of multiple servers and you can travel between them using an overland map. You've got solo-friendly zones, shared social hubs, and one massive PvP sandbox in the deep desert. It's a survival MMO in structure, just not the usual way. Still, the team says that the best way to understand the game is to play it. And if you haven't gotten in yet, don't worry, there's still time. The beta test runs until May 12th, and there are 3 main ways to increase your chances of getting in. First, wishlist the game on Steam and request access directly from the Steam page. Second, sign in with your email on the official Dune Awakening website. And third, tune in to the Global LAN Party broadcast on May 10th on Twitch. They will be giving away tens of thousands of beta codes live on stream. And yes, you can do all 3 to boost your odds. With the first few trailers dropping recently and an upcoming alpha test just around the corner in June, Vindictus Defying Fate is causing more and more anticipation and hype, especially among co-op fans. Built in Unreal Engine 5 and rooted in the rich Celtic mythology of the original Vindictus, this action RPG aims to blend cinematic storytelling, impactful combat, and deep character customization into a multiplayer-driven experience. The characters are based on heroes with a rich background lore, but you will be free to customize them. The only thing that has to stay is the face. Combat abilities can also be customized to bring your own tempo and fighting style to the battlefield and your party. And speaking of parties, good news! Co-op is a core aspect of the game from the start. From epic team battles to hanging out in the central village hub, Vindictus Defying Fate is designed with multiplayer in mind. With their latest update, we got a glimpse of the first few regions that will be playable in the alpha. The Northern Ruins serve as your starting point. A former sacred ground now overtaken by the wild and occupied by the gnolls. It's both a tutorial and an early test of your combat skills, with increasingly complex enemy encounters as you push further in. Then there's the Frozen Valley, a chilling and dramatic ice-covered expanse shaped by ancient volcanic activity, filled with twisting passages, icy caverns, and the ever-resilient kobold tribes. At the center of it all is Colhan Village, the social and mechanical heart of the game. Originally devastated by war, it has been rebuilt and now houses the systems that tie everything together. From story progression to outfit creation and connecting with other players, all can be found in this cozy hub. With so much already looking polished, we're definitely eager to see how it plays. And if you are too, keep your eyes peeled as June approaches, since signups haven't opened just yet. First-person shooter La Chimera really mixed the wrong genetics. While the base ingredients sounded promising when it was first announced, some FPS, some co-op, some dystopian spies, the outcome, now in early access, isn't exactly harmonious. You know, in ancient Greek mythology, a chimera was a fearsome creature made of all sorts of parts. A lion's body, a goat's head, and a snake for a tail. Even back then, poets often used chimeras to express something unrealistic. So, why the mythology detour, you ask? Let's see. The game was announced as an ambitious new FPS set in a dystopian South American future, with a big focus on teamwork. Players sharing resources, helping each other out in fights, and customizing their exosuits for different playstyles and exploration. The story was co-created by the director of the movie Drive and promised a gritty, cinematic narrative about a violent global power struggle after some apocalyptic collapse. The first trailer teased something in the ballpark of Cyberpunk 2077 meets Metro Exodus, which made sense given the dev studio Reburn had previously worked on the Metro games under another studio name. But now, after the early access release was delayed from April to May 7th, well, the snake bit the lion's paw. Initial reviews have been pretty rough. Critic scores are hovering around 40%, Steam reviews are mixed, and player count peaked at just 100. Even the second trailer, which already looked and sounded quite different from the first, gave away a few issues, mainly in the dialogue and voice acting department. And it seems external reviewers agree. Both range from passable to painfully cringy, which doesn't do much for immersion. The action gameplay seems fine, but not especially innovative. And the story doesn't land with much weight. The verdict for now, La Chimera needs more time in the oven. Or maybe in the petri dish. The skeleton is here and the concept still has potential. We genuinely like the vibe from the initial reveal. So here's hoping that early access feedback and whatever else is currently missing can eventually patch this thing into the game Reburn set out to make. These days, it has become almost normal for games to launch in a broken or rushed state. What isn't so normal is when developers actually take the time to fix it. And that's exactly what's happened with Risk of Rain 2: Seekers of the Storm. When the DLC launched back in late 2024, it came with a lot of hype. New survivors, enemies, a fresh stage, but the reality didn't quite live up to the promise. Players quickly ran into major issues. Teleporters not spawning, save files getting deleted, and bosses like Mithrix becoming invincible. Even basic gameplay mechanics were affected. Movement and abilities were tied to your frame rate, meaning the game could literally break depending on your hardware. Add in some awkward UI and enemy behavior, and it's no surprise the reception was mostly negative to this day. Fast forward to now, and Gearbox has rolled out Seekers of the Storm 2.0, a complete overhaul that fixes these core problems and adds meaningful improvements. Frame rate bugs are gone, enemy AI is much more stable, and previously broken characters like Acrid have been overhauled. You will also notice improved UI, easier to spot teleporters, and even features like multiplayer pause and directional damage indicators. Small changes that make the game more enjoyable. Survivors like Chef and Seeker got new skills, all survivors can now self-revive, and elite enemies have been reworked to be challenging but fair. It finally feels like the DLC has reached the level of quality it should have had from the start. And the response since the relaunch have been overwhelmingly positive in return. It's a rare case of a developer course-correcting in a big way, and it's honestly refreshing to see. So if you were waiting to see if things improved, this might be the moment to jump back in. Creature collecting survivor crafting game Palworld is once again making changes to its gameplay. And yes, it's still because of that lawsuit. The legal battle between Palworld developer Pocket Pair and the Pokémon Company has been dragging on for months, centered around alleged patent infringement. While Pocket Pair continues to dispute those claims, they have already had to make in-game compromises in earlier patches. A few months back, a patch removed the ability to summon pals by throwing pal spheres. That's now been replaced with a static summon that plops them down next to the player. At the time, players speculated the change was legally motivated, and Pocket Pair has now confirmed that it was. This week, with the latest patch, another system has been changed to avoid even bigger disruptions to the game and its development. Players can no longer fly on their pals, but instead need to use an actual glider item. although pals can still give you a passive buff while you use it. Not a massive loss mechanically, but it definitely alters the game's charm and flow. Pocket Pair says they are just as frustrated as the players, but feel these tweaks are necessary to keep Palworld alive and in development. So here's the question: did Pocket Pair borrow a little too heavily from the Pokémon playbook in the first place? Let us know what you think. After the latest crossover event with Gundam Wing, which is still going on until May 12th, Overwatch is having yet another collab. Coming up on May 20th, this time they are partnering with Capcom's Street Fighter 6. In the first teaser trailer, we counted at least 8 new skins, including Juno as Chun-Li, Widowmaker as Cammy, and Hanzo as Ryu. What will be the next collab? Godzilla, Hello Kitty, or Dave the Diver? And speaking of collabs and cosmetics and Blizzard games, Diablo 4 players and Berserk fans in particular have expressed frustration about the latest Berserk collaboration skins. Obtaining all 5 character outfits costs 14k platinum, which forces players to buy the next bigger bundle costing $150. And on top, there is also a limited pet, the Schnotz, costing an extra $28, which adds up to a price higher than the base game and the added DLC. We really live in difficult times, where it's either FOMO or spending or just losing interest due to systems like this and moving to more ethical shores. A new Europa Universalis was announced, which is Paradox Interactive's historical grand strategy game series. Part 5 is expected to span 500 years of history with hundreds of different nations and societies in a simulated living world. As a player, you can explore alternate historic universes and use war, trade, or diplomacy to reach your goals. There are also promises of unparalleled depth and complexity, so that's gonna be interesting. All with co-op announced. Hero-based action roguelike BlazBlue Entropy Effect is getting a couch co-op mode on May 20th, along with a new character and an upcoming collab event with the Dead Cells franchise this summer. This game is a spin-off of the BlazBlue franchise, which started as an arcade fighting game series in Japan in the early 2000s, and uses the original characters and part of the story. Whether you're now using gliders instead of pals, finally being able to play the DLC you already paid for last year, or redefining what MMO even means, good luck out there in co-op, and we will see you again in the next one.